The Root of Nightmares raid is something else. I just completed it on the boss fight. Wow, that took a couple hours. Maybe I'm bad at the game, but we finally did it, so I can finally say some little first impressions in this video. But I want to talk about a lot of the feedback, some backlash. Now, again, you know how I don't want to be the Debbie Downer and things, but it's very interesting on how this raid went and how it, looks in terms of Lightfall as a whole. This is the last endgame activity for the Lightfall expansion that we know of, and it looks like that will be the case. So this will be the final, piece of content that we can really start to summarize the review for Lightfall, and hopefully we'll have a more concrete review as we head into the following weeks. Now, you know how Lightfall hasn't been the best, and I have to admit it hasn't been. The raid is something else. As we talk about some positives real quick, as I feel like the raid environment is amazing. I feel like the raid has done really well, done great stuff right there, and just how the boss fight is, I do enjoy it. Now, there's a lot of backlash in terms of the world's first completion, of how the world's first completion was in 2 hours and 30 minutes. Now, this is a big thing I want to point out, as I don't really see a lot of, huge impact with this, but a lot of people have. They're talking about how this raid was easy, about how it was on scale with Eater of Worlds, and that Bungie was supposed to create a harder, most difficult type of raid with the Lightfall expansion, really making and increasing the difficulty even further with the new general difficulty changes, making it even harder than VOW. Now, a lot of people hated VOW for how it was really tricky with the symbols, how hard to understand for new players, hard for everything all around on day one, and there was error codes too. So the day one experience for VOW was not great, and then that of course affected how it was for being one of the hardest raids. But then when 24 hours was changed to 48, over 5,000 teams have gotten day one with VOW, therefore hence it's one of the most raids out there with a day one completion. This raid has hit over 100,000 character clears of Root of Nightmares, and this was a couple hours ago, so it's been a total of over 17,000 teams have gotten the day one completion of Root of Nightmares, being the biggest amount of completions ever in a day one raid. This makes, to a lot of people, the way of how the raid looks easy. Joke. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. There's many people complaining about the mechanics. Light and dark. Shoot it, go to a node, shoot it, kill the boss, boom, there you go. I found difficult times with the new system, and I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of got some duality sort of vibes of going in, collecting it, going there, and finishing the node. I feel like I enjoyed this raid, but many believe the mechanics are too easy. Many believe the assets of the raid are just the same as VOW, just reskinned with a whole new little environment with the new, the white stuff. I don't really know what to call it. The Traveler's Wings. I don't know how to really indicate that. Go watch Bife. I don't really know how to say. I'm just gonna call it like white stuff. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are complaining about the environment. Many, and I can agree with one of these statements, that there is no raid, literally like a reward after it. Like after you finish the raid, there's no big event that happens. Dreaming City, we had a huge event happen with everything, new activities, and with Deepstone Crypt, we had the Lament quest. With VOW, we had Preservation and the Exotic Glaive quest, and I am aware that they changed all the Strand Fragments to a later release date, an early release date, so you could get the full aftermath of, the full synergy with Strand. However, there's literally nothing. No other new strikes, no Crucible maps, nothing. Not even Patrol Zone in the Pyramid or mission in the Pyramid. No, nothing. Which I find a big blow to this raid in general, and I feel like Bungie they didn't do it right with that. They should have gave more into this than they did. I feel like they had lack of rewards after the raid, and some people say the rewards don't look as great, but I gotta admit, I'm gonna have to say no to that. I feel like the rewards are great. I feel like it looks really awesome. A lot of people are complaining about the armor, however, but a complete lack of changes post-raid is really bad. This post-raid, backlash will affect Lightfall a little bit, as only the things that are there in the post-raid stuff are collectibles around Niamuna that are literally equate to nothing to a lot of people. So that's a really big oof on Bungie's part. So hopefully Bungie can fix that in a sense. I say the raid was great, but many believe that the raid was not that. And many believe that this raid has been somewhat of a disappointment and it's not the way that they wanted it. Everyone still agrees that the normal system of an expansion is play the campaign, finish the campaign, do the post campaign stuff, go rank up the vendor, get pinnacles so you can do the raid day one, do the raid, then go back to taking a break for a year. And that I can fairly start to see even more and more. I feel like Bungie should have done more with this. I love it for what they gave. I think it's good, but many don't think that same way. And you can agree, you can disagree. It's up to you, of course. I'm just trying to create a discussion here, but there's a lot of things to be in part of. This was going to be an expansion that we were looking for a while, 3 years in the making. And now you can start to say, okay, why was it like this? I thought Vow's raid, whoever did Vow, whoever did Deep Stone Crypt, they had a lot of stuff after the raid, and they felt that the mechanics on those raids were a bit harder than this raid. I don't know really what to say. I enjoyed it. Again, I keep saying that, but I did. You can disagree with me, but there's a lot of people out there that are disappointed with this expansion as a whole. This really wraps it up for the reviews on Lightfall, and this will be a huge, huge alert for Bungie going forward. We are going to get a reprise raid sometime in Season 22. It's going to be either Wrath, Crota Zen. I'm more leaning the Crota Zen coming back. And with that raid, you would have to complete it on normal, at a contest mode, and then complete it on challenge, and then do all the stuff. I know that's a little bit of more, side talk, but it's something to look at because it's just another reprise raid. And many think that they only see a new raid every year, which is usually the case, and this one didn't live up to the biggest hype because of that world's first completion time and because of how the raid did after its completion. People think the bosses are not as great, which I say no to, and many believe the mechanics are, again, something to go back to, aren't the greatest. But I gotta say, I did enjoy the mechanics. Some believe it was a bit difficult than others. Some believe it was. It's just been different for everybody. And people are still curious of, what really happened with the expansion. I know I'm, sidetracking a bit, but it's fairly interesting to talk about because this will be a question for a lot of people. Because now that you have the raid in mind, and if you did it, you're now going to start thinking, okay, how do I think about this expansion as a whole now? How do I think it? The raid exotic does look great. I heard it's a fun exotic. It's like an Izanagi but a shotgun, so that's not bad. But it's something to look at because at least they did that right. I like that. So I like that. But yeah, that really sums up the video. Something to look at. Let me know your thoughts on this raid. There has been a lot of feedback with it, and it's something to look at. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Hopefully we can get to 21K. Bye, guys.